In 2010, Ghana found themselves in uncharted territory. Taking part in just their second World Cup, the Black Stars were on the verge of the semi-finals in South Africa. All that stood between them and history was Uruguay and Luis Suarez. Now, some referred to what happened next as flagrant cheating, others as smart opportunism. Whatever the truth, it remains one of the most divisive moments the World Cup has ever known. To get to that quarter-final in Johannesburg, Ghana had beaten Serbia and drawn with Australia in their group. When they knocked out the United States in the first knockout stage, they advanced beyond their previous tournament best from 4 years before. Ghanaian football was breaking new ground, and significantly, it was doing so at the first World Cup staged on African soil. Milovan Rajevač's side were hard-working and organised, but had enough personality to capture hearts and minds. So, as the last remaining African team left in the tournament, they entered that quarter-final against Uruguay with most of their continent behind them. But also, much of the rest of the world too. There was no question, Ghana were the story of 2010. And they started the game brilliantly. 20 seconds before half-time, Suleiman Tari scored one of the goals of the tournament, finding the net from 35 yards. It brought a deafening noise from the 94,000 fans in the stadium. And Montari and his teammates danced in celebration as the sound of vuvuzelas hummed around them and above them. But Uruguay were writing a story of their own. 10 minutes into the second half, Diego Forlan rattled a brilliant free kick past goalkeeper Richard Kingson to bring the South Americans level. And from that point onwards, penalties seemed inevitable. The Ghanaians were not an expansive side. They created few opportunities but trusted their defence. And aside from one or two smart saves, much of the next hour passed without incident, as 90 minutes became extra time. But then, in the 121st minute, something happened that stunned the watching world. With extra time at an end and a penalty shootout looming, Ghana loaded the box for a John Pencil free kick deep in the Uruguay half. Goalkeeper Fernando Muslera failed to claim the cross, and after a frenetic pinball on the goal line, substitute Dominic Adeyemi rose to head firmly towards goal, past the stricken goalkeeper. For a moment, it appeared that Ghana would reach their World Cup semi-final. But no. Luis Suarez, who had dropped back to the goal line, punched the ball clear with his hand. The referee instantly blew his whistle, pointed at the spot, and gave Suarez a red card, sending him off. This set up a grandstand finish. With the last kick of the game, Asamoah Gyan had a chance to put Ghana through. And who better? The talented player had already scored penalties against Serbia and Australia in the group stage. He placed the ball, stepped back, and hit the top of the bar. The crowd sagged in disappointment, and the Ghanaian and Uruguayan players alike sank to their knees. Gyan held his head in his hands. Suarez had left the pitch in tears, but was shown celebrating wildly on the sidelines as his calculated sacrifice had paid off. And the penalty shootout that followed only promised to be crueler. And so it proved, with Sebastian Abreu floating a ludicrous Panenka into the net to send Uruguay through. It remains one of the cruelest World Cup moments. Michael Lotiajeyi was a veteran Ghanaian journalist who covered the game from the press box that night, and he told The Independent in 2020 that it was the single most painful experience for many Ghanaian football fans to date. And that's easy to believe. With the Ghanaian players broken on the pitch below, the television cameras panned around the eerily silent stadium, settling on the devastated faces of supporters wrapped in Ghanaian flags. And many others from different countries who'd bought tickets for the game and thrown their weight behind the neutrals' favourite. If you liked today's video, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you did like it, you might be interested in How to Watch Football, Tifo's illustrated book. It's 52 rules for understanding the beautiful game on and off the pitch, and it is the perfect holiday gift. How to Watch Football is out now in stores and online. See the link in the description to find out more, and thank you for watching today's video.